Hi, everyone. I'm Ben Gonzalez, and this is TDI. Well, if you hadn't noticed, there's something of a baby boom going on. I don't know, something's going on. But if you're expecting, you probably have a long to do list. We're going to add one more thing to that list. Make sure your insurance is in order. And joining us is Misty Highnote from our Public Affairs Office. Hi, Misty.
Hi.
So, what do we need to do before baby arrives?
Right. The first thing you want to do is you want to check your networks. So whatever doctor, hospital, facility that you're going to use to have your baby, you just want to see if your health plan does require you to use a network, that they are a network. That's going to be the cheapest way to go. And even if your health plan doesn't require you to use a network, it's still usually cheaper to go in network. You also want to ask about co-pays, co-insurance, deductibles for their doctor, facility, hospital. You might be used to your doctor's copay. It's something you've been probably paying a lot of if you've been doing your prenatal appointments. But the facility or the hospital copays are going to be different. So you just want to know what you're going to have to pay ahead of time.
I forgot to ask you about this earlier, but the difference between a copay and co-insurance, can you say that in a sentence?
Right. We just take this for granted. Yeah, copays are what you pay routine. If you go to the doctor, it might be $25, $40, something you pay
per visit fee.
Yeah, every time you go, you're going to be paying this certain amount. And a co-insurance is more of a percentage. So if you go in for a treatment or something like that, a lot of plans might do a 20/80. So you might pay 20% of the fee, and then your health plan might be 80% of the fee. And it just depends on the plan. That's not a hard and fast 20/80. But if you go out of network, that's going to change. So if you have a 20/80 in network, it might be, like a 40/60 out of network. So you're going to be paying a bigger chunk if you go out of networks. That's why it's important to ask about those co-insurance. What is it in network? What is it out of network? If you want to go to facility or hospital out of network, of course, that's up to you. Just know what you're going to have to pay.
Is there anything else that we should be doing to avoid those surprise bills?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Texas protects consumers with certain health plans from surprise medical bills in emergencies and also in circumstances where you didn't have a choice of doctor. This is a great example of that. If you go into the hospital in labor, there's a good chance it could be an emergency. We never know what's going to happen with those babies. And then there's a good chance that you might get a doctor that's out of network that you didn't have a choice of. So if you have those health plans, and you'll know it because on your health plan card, get it out of your purse or your wallet, and it'll say TDI or DOI on it. So you'll know if you have that surprise medical billing protection. And then if you don't, we just give you some advice to check those networks. Anesthesiologist is another good one to think of if you think you're going to be needing that. Sometimes the doctor can give you the group. You can ask and see, and then you can check in network. And we know, like I said, when you go in these emergency situations or to have a baby, you might end up with doctors that you didn't choose. So if you're protected from that, that's great. If not, just know what it's going to cost.
Sometimes a father can be in there and he can slip and fall, and he might need an anesthesiologist.
You just never know. Yeah, you never know.
So it's very exciting in that room. If you already have family health insurance, is the new baby going to be added automatically to that plan?
Right. If you want them to be, if you want your child to be on your health plan, if you don't plan on getting them a different kind of health plan, if you want them on your health plan, yeah, you need to tell your health plan, saying that a lot, but, and call and ask them because they have certain requirements. Mine was 30 days. They want you to call within 30 days of either the adoption or the birth of your child to tell them that you want to add your child to the plan so they can start covering them. You're going to start going to doctors and you're going to start needing that health plan. So some have 30 days, but I would call them as soon as you can and ask. And I personally had a sticky note that I had in my kitchen in my house, add child to plan. Because after you give birth or adopt a child, you're going to be pretty busy. So
and you can't do it. You can't do it ahead of time either, right? You have to wait until they're actually here in the world.
Right. Yeah. Here in the world. Exactly. Yeah. And there's a lot going on. So we don't want you to forget that. That's pretty important. So.
Okay. What else do we need to remember? What to expect when you're expecting? What other coverages are out there?
Right. There are other coverages too that you might want to take advantage of. A lot of plans offer breast pumps for free. So if you're going to be pumping, that's something to ask your plan about. But know that you have to go through your plan. If they offer the pump for free, you have to go through your plan to get that pump. So just make sure you give yourself plenty of time to go through all that paperwork. A lot of plans also offer breastfeeding support, and then postpartum counseling. So I would just call and talk to your plan, what's available before or after, just to make sure you're taking advantage of all those coverages.
Right. If you need it, it's there. Anything else with a new child in the house? Maybe look at life insurance?
Yeah, I would definitely look at life insurance. Consider it for yourself if you don't already have it. Just think about all the extra costs you're going to have with a child. There's the food, the daycare, the college. I know that's getting way ahead of yourself, but if you're having a kid, you got to think about all that stuff. So if you don't have life insurance on yourself or your partner, you might want to think about it because that's a big expense. And what would happen if something happened to you? How would all that be paid for your child? So it's just something to think about.
Sure, definitely. Well, thanks, Misty. That's a lot of great information, stuff to add to your to-do list during this time. If you have questions about what's covered, of course, start by calling the health plan. They're going to have the most detailed information for you. But if there's something you don't understand, or maybe you're trying to look at where you can get coverage, then you can visit our website. It's tdi.texas.gov, or you can call our helpline. That's 1-800-252-3439, and you can ask your questions there. So, for Misty High Note, I'm Ben Gonzalez. This is TDI.